Aaron Hernandez's fiance accused of wasting daughter's trust fund on clothes and entertaining. And here's the thing, I hope that this is not the case because just like, wow. Like, you would screw over your own kid from her deceased father? Lord. So the late Aaron Hernandez's fiance is in hot water for allegedly mishandling the trust fund left for the couple's 10-year-old daughter. Shayana Jenkins Hernandez has been spending an exorbitant amount of her daughter's money on questionable items, according to court documents obtained by People. The mother, too, spent a whopping $17,000 in clothing, $10,000 in entertainment expenses, and thousands in self case costs. I guess self care costs, the outlet reported. Jenkins Hernandez spent $12,000 at Home Goods alone, expense filing state. Trust attorney David Schwartz began objecting to Jenkins Hernandez's reimbursement invoices in September after she asked for $10,000 from the trust to cover the cost of daughter Avilia's competitive dance lessons. Schwartz, a court appointed lawyer, denied the request. The annual $150,000 issued to Jenkins Hernandez to cover Avilia's daily expenses is enough to cover her dance classes, Schwartz argued. Large amounts of money are spent under each category of the accountings, with little clear identification of how these disbursements benefit Avil, the documents state. The trustee understands that providing for Avilia includes expenses related to her household, but the expenditures from her late father's NFL pension and Social Security benefits merit investigation for their reasonableness, if not correctness. Schwartz filed a request asking that Jenkins Hernandez be removed as Avilia's conservator, but she fired back and demanded that he be removed as the trustee. According to Jenkins Hernandez, Schwartz's reimbursement rejection was keeping Avilia from her hobby. There is every reason to question whether and how the conservator is applying these significant resources that should be available to pay for Avilia's daily needs, including dance lessons, especially since all of her basic housing, security, and educational expenses are paid from the trust, Schwartz's legal team said. Jenkins Hernandez gave birth to Avila the year before Hernandez was arrested for the 2013 murder of Odin Lloyd, the man dating her sister. The former NFL player was sentenced to life in prison in 2015 but died by suicide in cell 2 years later at the age of 27, which is kind of crazy, like such a young age. But let's see some of these comments. I'm not surprised that she went on a spending spree. A lot of folks who come into money, one way or another, instead of investing it wisely on the stock market and living off of the returns gains, would rather just hemorrhage money on frivolous luxuries. Point is, if you invest, you can still do that while making more money on top of what you have. So this person says it's now hers. The daughter is a minor, so the mom gets the dollars until she becomes an adult. It's not for her to spend on her. The only thing this woman is investing in is herself. $17,000 at Home Goods. She wasn't buying stock. That's like 25K in leftover retail junk. This person says, I wonder if the family of the man he murdered is getting any money. Seems pretty unfair that the ex-girlfriend gets to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on home goods and fake nails. Hopefully the family sees this and sues them again. It's from his pension, and in many states, pensions are exempt from being taken in lawsuits. That's why OJ doesn't have to pay his pension money to the Goldmans. It always amazes me when an adult says that something is unfair. Haven't you heard? There are few things in life that are fair and equitable. What happened should be a no-brainer. People who suddenly have access to money most always go on a spending spree, kind of, well, okay, politicians, blah, blah, blah. I'm a court-appointed guardian of my Down syndrome sister, and every year I have to fill out a form and submit copies to the court administration and one to Social Security on how her money is spent. No lawyer involved. To me, they shouldn't have appointed a lawyer. The money should have been put into a trust fund until her daughter became 21. It's the lawyer's fault for approving those large amounts to the greedy mother. I agree. So it's in a trust and it has an administrator, usually a lawyer, who needs to approve expenses. And clearly, he is saying no, and it's probably better to appoint a legal guardian for money purposes so it benefits the child, not mom. There probably is no other money except mom gets survivor benefits and the child as well. I think it tops about $4,500 to $5,000 monthly if he paid in full, until 16 years, and for child until 18. So the trust provides for the child, not mom. Interesting. She's living the life she thought she was going to live if he was still alive. He was making millions, she was planning a life of riches, she probably figures she's entitled to it now. I didn't realize 6 years had gone by since he did himself in. $150,000 a year to raise a child is surely enough money. Mom needs to get a job, just over broke. She has her own money from life insurance and pension, probably 10 times more than her daughter, and she still steals from her daughter. Let's see. As so often it is the case that is mother support, not child support. Like that's the thing that like always really bothers me about the whole child support like situation fiasco, right? I understand if you have a kid to pay child support. I understand that. I don't understand giving that money purely to the mother of the child where she could do whatever she wants with that money. That bothers me, right? I think it should actually be like held in escrow until like whatever it is should be just paid for, kind of thing, right? Especially if we're talking about like a large amount of money, but also like I've heard stories of guys who have literally had their lives destroyed due to child support because it's so severely one-sided in a lot of states, pretty much every state, to the point where you could end up having a guy who's not really making much money, has to pay a large amount of child support for whatever reason, and ends up basically going behind on it because he can't afford it and also afford to live. And the money that he was even paying originally, early on, was just going straight into the mom's account, paying for her lifestyle. And it gets to the like kind of like finality of the thing where the guy ends up getting so far behind that he ends up getting arrested for failure to pay child support, which is crazy. Like here's the thing. Like if you're a father or whatever, or a mother on the one side, which it's very rare for the mother to be having to pay child support. But if you are responsible for child support, do everything in your power to be able to try to pay for it. Because the thing is, you're not really just going to go against the mother of the child. You are going against the United States government, which is a massive, massive force. It is a very strong force. And if you don't have a lot of support behind you, you're probably not going to be able to handle it. So do your best to try to pay for it because you can't do much. You can't like improve yourself. You can't really do good stuff to your kid, like help your kid out if you're behind bars because you couldn't pay it. So it's just something to really think about.